Hi everyone, so today I'm working on a coffee soap project. I have a French press here. I've got my coffee from the local Black Lab Coffee Co. And I have some very hot water. It's about 195 or so at this point. So I am going to make the coffee. I'm going to brew a strong coffee. I can just sit there like that. Oh man, oh that smells good. Okay, delightful. This is the Ugly Joe blend, a blend of coffee from Indonesia and Africa. Deep, rich, chocolatey smokiness with a hint of fruit. Smokiness or smoothness? I would assume smokiness. Dark roast. Anyway, that's what we're going with. So I'm going to do 3 cups. So since I'm doing this strong, I'm going to use 6 of these scoops. This is a little spoon that came with the dealio, but it's kind of a flimsy guy. A metal one would have been nicer. I hope I'm at 6 with this one, because I kind of quit counting there for a moment. If not, I guess it'll be extra strong, which is fine. We're making coffee soap here. Okay, so my directions said heat water, add that in, and then I want to give it just a few splashes, apparently. I don't know if that's a splash or not. We'll just add a little bit more. This is my first time using a French press, but I bought one specifically for up here in my soap studio. For those that don't know, I have my soap studio upstairs. It was an old attic apartment. Wasn't old, it was an attic apartment. And so I am completely separated from the rest of the house. I come out through the garage, up the stairs into my attic apartment areas for my studio. Okay, so you add a few splashes of water to it. It says it will allow the coffee to bloom and release its oils. Ooh. Okay, add the rest of your water. So I'm going to add the rest of the water. And this cute, it's like the plastic science-y version. So adding the rest. I'm tempted to get one of these for my house because we do enjoy our coffee. Perfect! Look at that. Awesome. Okay, so now I have to let it sit. It says close the lid. Oh, I have to stir. I haven't quite figured out this spoon. I'm sure there's a method to that madness there. So we're stirring the coffee. Stir, stir, stir. Okie dokie. It feels pretty stirred up. Oh, look how frothy, and I think you can see that. We're just gonna make a mess here and I will just clean it up. Oh, that's hot. So you can see how frothy and delightful it is. And then I am going to close the lid without plunging and allow it to steep for 4 minutes. So, closing the lid, no plunging, 4 minutes. Okay, so it's time to plunge this coffee. So, it says about halfway. And then it says raise it, and then all the way down. Okie dokie then. So I guess I just need to turn this for pouring. That's what we shall do. And then pour it into my ice cube trays. I don't know if I want to pour from this guy or not. Seems like he'd probably be alright. I'm going to be freezing these now so I can mix my sodium hydroxide directly into the coffee. I'm going to be using frozen just to kind of help that process along a little bit. When you're working with other liquids to mix your lye solution into, a lot of time frozen is the best. Especially when it's milk, help it not to scorch. I'm thinking that I'm going to have to bring another silicone mold into this situation. I guess I can fill these other ones up a little bit more. I have a little bit of a lip on the edge here. I'll have to carry these down the very steep stairs into the deep freezer so that these can freeze up. Probably gonna let them set just for a little bit though, just to take the edge off. I'm not interested in heating up my deep freezer. Looks like we're gonna be all right here. I'm almost out. Now these grounds are the best. It's best to use used grounds if you're gonna add it to your soap for, like, you know, scrubbiness. Because they won't be quite as harsh, but I'm not going to be adding any of the grounds into my coffee today. So into the freezer these go, and I'll be back after a while. Okay, so the coffee is frozen now. I'm just gonna pop it out. Isn't it cute? It smells so good. I've pre-weighed my container so that I can weigh that I have exactly what I need here. That is a mess. Alright, so I have my gloves, my sleeves, my goggles, everything needed for safety. I have the coffee in the cubes here. I did have to add about 4 ounces of water. The coffee did stain my gloves. And I have my sodium hydroxide. So I'm just going to slowly add it in. I'm just going to add a little to start. Now, it does occur to me that I have no legit reason for this coffee to be in cubes and be frozen. Because the coffee is going to smell as the lye scorches it regardless. So, I was a bit on autopilot here, and I did some research, and I could have just used some, just used the coffee as it was, but, oh well, right? This is what I would do if I was doing a full milk soap with, like, goat milk or, well, goat milk. It does start to get an ammonia type smell. Now, the coffee smell does not necessarily last into the actual soap. Like, it's not going to just put off a coffee scent. There's a chance that a slight bit will come through just based on, like, I'm using coffee oil in my soap today. But typically don't plan on it. Don't plan on actual food smells coming through to the soap. Now I start slow and then I kind of do a little bit more of the dumping, but benefit of starting with the ice cubes or frozen coffee as I shouldn't have to wait quite as long for this to cool back down, but I will likely still put this in front of a fan. Now, I don't typically like to mix my lye solutions in plastic, but this comes from a science supply store, and they're intended for chemical use, so I feel confident using this. There are some plastics, I can't remember the number off the top of my head, that are good for mixing your lye solution, but I would not do this with glass. I would only do it with stainless steel and the proper plastics. That goes for all sodium hydroxide mixing. Okay, I'm just gonna dump the rest of it in. It's pretty much melted at this point. There's just a titch down in there. I'm gonna have to go after it here in just a minute. Now, I would say that going with the frozen kind of kept the ammonia smell down just a little bit. Now, that does not end up in the soap. You don't have to worry about that ammonia smell or scorch smell ending up in the final product. I'm going to gently scrape this out. So sodium hydroxide beads can get a bit staticky, and so they don't always like to come out. I don't worry about that little extra bit that's left in the container in instances like this, because I figure it just adds to my super fat just a little. And I'd rather err on the side of a super fat than have a lye heavy soap. So it works out for me. So the lye solution has pretty much blended in. The fumes are very minimal. And I'm talking, but I'm trying not to breathe in this like general location. Turn my head off behind me at the very least. But the final result here is that the ammonia scent is very low. The lye solution is definitely hot, but it's not scalding hot. So it won't take quite as long for this to cool down. I'm not feeling any grit, so I do believe that the lye solution, or the lye, is mixed in well, but I will continue to stir this off and on. Alright, so I've added in the kaolin clay and kind of have flooded it down in, so now I just need to mix it up. I am using some coffee oil in this soap today. I had some coffee butter, but I just don't like that the coffee butter is hydrogenated, and I'm not really sure what it's hydrogenated with. What oil? So in with the coffee lye solution. So I've heard that the coffee butter is hydrogenated with soy or palm, and since I've eliminated palm and I don't work with soy in the soap, I thought it would be best just to hold off and don't use the coffee butter in the soap. I'm going to go ahead and scrape this out because the coffee lye solution was a little bit thicker than a normal solution. I'm just going to go ahead and get out every little bit that I can here. it smells amazing right now. Of course, I use cocoa butter in my soaps, and I have a theory about why the majority of my soaps come out smelling, the coffee soaps kind of smell mocha-y, and that's because I do use an organic cocoa butter. And if you were to smell that in a regular like floral or fruity, you would say, oh, there's some cocoa butter in the soap. But when you smell it with the coffee soap, then you're like, oh, there's mocha. So that is my new theory on why the coffees do tend to smell a bit mocha-y. I have purchased deodorized cocoa butter, and from my experience, it still has enough of a cocoa butter scent that I'd just rather use some organic, just really luscious cocoa butter. I am not going to add in any swirls, any extra colors. I just want this to be a plain coffee soap. And I'm also not going to add in any coffee beans. Now I should have mixed my cocoa butter in ahead of time. Not cocoa butter, coconut milk. Gosh, sometimes you have to translate what I do sometimes. This is coconut milk, and I typically blend this in with the oil since it's so thick. It's a little warm in my room today, so it's a little bit better, but this is batch that I got is very, very thick. I guess the last couple batches. So I should be okay. I'm not really doing anything else. It's blended in quite well. We've had a temperature jump here in Missouri, so it's going to be 70 some degrees today. This is some espresso fragrance oil. I do want to try some coffee essential oil sometime. I just haven't been able to get my hands on any quite yet, and I wanted to try this espresso. It's just a luscious color. It's starting to thicken up, but I've blended it quite a lot. I do not want to just, oh dear, oh goodness. Okay, let me just get over there. It's going to be a quite nice texture to pour, because if it's too thin, sometimes it runs out of my freezer paper liner. So you can see that's at trace. It's starting to be past a medium, or a light, I should say, and we're going to medium pretty quick here. So I am going to go ahead and get this poured. Isn't that lovely? Oh goodness. Oops. I need to smack these down. Okay, I might have to be in your way just for a minute here, but I need to see what I am doing. just go ahead and texture it a bit, smooth it out, get it a little bit more even here. It's been a long time since I've worked with coffee in the actual lye solution. Clean off these edges a bit here. I decided I just wanted to go very simple with this soap. Okay, back to texturing. I don't want it too high, but I do want it to have a bit of a look here. And then I will probably put just a little bit of coffee grounds on the top. So excited to see how this looks and smells after it cures. Right now it smells amazing, but everything is still fresh, you know. All right, I think I'm going to just put the coffee beans on now. A little coffee, ground coffee, I should say. I think I'm just going to keep it to one side. Just kind of make a line here. Just simple. Alright, nice. I like it. Alright, so there we have it. We have some coffee soap has coffee oil, and it has strongly brewed coffee in the lye solution, and using an espresso fragrance oil. I'll see you back here for the cut. So it's time to cut the coffee soap. I did have some troubles with ashing. I've sprayed it quite a bit with alcohol, and pretty much there's just a little bit here on these tops. But this one did heat up on me, and it cracked. It was the first time I'd ever had a cracked soap. Let me see if I can find it. One loaf was worse than the other. Let me see. It closed back up for the most part. There's right there, I don't know, right in this general region, you can see some here. Either way, it did a little bit of crack-a-lacking, but it came back together, so that's great. Now, this is going to be quite a bit different when I cut into this. You can kind of see the line already from where I've cut before, but the fun part about discoloring soaps is the part right now when you open it up and it's so creamy. I just love that. That is so fun. This is a good coffee. So, yes, I'm loving this for sure. It's a much stronger coffee than any of them I've worked with. And I actually just found a fragrance that might even be stronger coffee, but I may not mess with it between the coffee oil in the soap, which again, I don't know how much of that is coming through. It smells so good. Oh my word. This one is definitely a lot more coffee. Now I'll have to see what it cures to. I'm going to go ahead and list my soaps around 4 weeks, because by the time I actually get around to the list, like I plan on curing them 4 weeks, but by the time I get around to the listing, to the packaging, the shipping, they get to you, it's usually 6 weeks has passed anyway. But 4 to 6 weeks is generally recommended. 6 weeks for me, it does still tend to be the sweet spot for evaporation and all that. This one's a cool bar, has a little loop-de-loo on it. Yum, I can't quit sniffing it. It smells so good. I may have to try doing some of my sugar whipped soap in this coffee scent. I use what I call coffee bean ice cream, as it does have a sweetness to it, but I might have to just do one of those all up in your business kinds coffee. It's quite cold in my room. I'm a broken record saying that, but it is true. It is cold in my soap studio today, 56 degrees. I've not been up here much, otherwise I'd have the heater running. Today I've been focusing on, well, pretty much the whole week has been focused on label design and all that jazz. It's a process. All the taking pictures, and I've moved my main work computer down to the main part of the house because I was tired of sitting upstairs all the time by myself just to edit videos and design labels and such. So I moved it downstairs, but then that means I'm up and down the stairs, but I get plenty of exercise that way, so I guess all is well. My husband wants to get another computer and network them together or something along those lines, you know, but I'm the cheapskate and don't want to spend the money on another computer when in the long run I just have to run up and down the stairs a little bit more often. So we'll just do that for now. But you never can tell what may happen. If my husband had his way, we'd probably have a server and who knows what all, but because that's kind of what he does. So I will have to go ahead and take pictures of this just so I can get it uploaded, the video, because I'm due already for this video to go up. I'm trying to learn to plan ahead and be out and advanced by several soap videos, have plenty made, but I have not made any product for this whole week, so tomorrow is the day I'm going to be working on that, but I need to have, tomorrow I also need to be taking my pictures for the thumbnail and all that. So I will go ahead and do that, but keep in mind this is likely going to darken just a little bit more. When I list a soap on my site, I try to make sure that it has the right coloring shown in the picture. Okay, so here we have our coffee espresso soap, and it has the roasted coffee seed oil, And it's made with a coffee lye solution from Black Lab Coffee. I keep wanting to say Black Lab Soap Works, but nope, that's not what they do. That's what I do. They're the coffee people. Alright guys, I'll talk to you later.